Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Midgard Golf. And I'm back out here today playing the back nine, finally, at Lakeridge Golf Course in Reno, Nevada. One of the courses that I grew up playing and have some incredibly fond memories on, indeed. And if you're joining us for this back nine, I'm sure happy you're here because quite possibly the most iconic hole in all of the city of Reno here exists right here on this back nine, the 15th par 3 Island Green. So quite happy to get to showcase that for you out here today. And as it happens, as I'm narrating this content here today, we have just crested over 300 subscribers. So the next video series on Red Hawk, where Dad and I did a little two-ball scramble just to see how low we could go on that track there. The last time we vlogged it, I think we did a shamble. But anyway, yeah, and we shot pretty lights out, so I hope you join us for that. But also, especially if you're a subscriber or if you become one today or, sometime in that video series at Red Hawk in Reno out there. Well, actually, in Sparks, Nevada there. Kind of like a suburb of Reno. Not it's a separate city, but the outskirts of Reno anyway. But yeah, we're going to be doing the hat giveaway in that video series. So stay tuned and check that out. And yeah, I'll have Pops put up on one of the holes what we want you to put in the comments on those videos in order to get in the drawing for an $80 Midgard Golf hat, branded Bill's hat. So super rare. Again, we don't sell them. We only give them away to winners of those hat giveaways and people who are featured on the channel with us. So good luck to you guys. I hope that it goes to somebody who's going to like it out there. So anyway, and keep subscribing. We're going to keep giving away those hats every 100 subs. And at 1,000, we're going to up the ante to something like shirts or vests or rain jackets, something like that. Haven't picked them out yet. Got a long way to go to get there. But it'll be some cool stuff indeed. We don't get cheap stuff on Midgard Golf here, so it's going to be sick. Anyway, so starting off on this back nine here. Starting off with a doozy, the number 2 handicap on the course, and number 9 was the number 1 handicap on the course. If you watched the last video series there, or the last video, I should say. This is the second part of the series. Anyway, so yeah, the 2 hardest holes on the course right in the middle of your round. So yeah, and rightfully so, big hole here, and I'm playing it from one up, and that's the Lakeridge tees. And yeah, the back tees named the Jones tees after Bobby Jones, or at least that's the way we nickname it there in Reno. So anyway, playing 414 yards for me, and kind of a late dogleg right we're dealing with here. And I mean, a fairly inviting fairway, but about, I want to say 2/3 of the fairway down the left side, you've got a big old giant lake, so you definitely don't want to snap hook one, certainly not early, going down this fairway here. The further down you go this fairway, it actually widens up a little bit more, and the lake disappears. So it really favors the big hitters here, that's for sure. As it is a dogleg right, you might be thinking, well, I guess I should play a fade here. Well, yeah, I mean, to stay away from the water, I certainly would do that. However, you've got a big old intimidating tree line over there off to the right. So again, you're going to have to smash one way down there in order to clear that. But if you do, then fair chance that you're going to get into this little baby stream that slices the fairway in half about 130, 140 yards back from the green. So you got to be leery of that as well. But if you can really bomb one down there super far, then and get over all of that, then you're going to be in a real nice position to just give yourself a nice flip wedge about 100 yards or so up onto this green. So super prime position if you can really crush one down there. But I'm thinking most players are just going to probably hit one down to the elbow there and then play about 150 to 130 yard shot in, depending on the shape that you play your drive. And, give yourself whatever yardage in order to get up on this hole. Should be pretty textbook. Let's see here. Once you do get up to the green, you've got 2 bunkers left and right that are kind of that awkward sort of 30 to 40 yards shy of the green, and then 2 more bunkers left and right lateral of the green itself. And if you do happen to go over the green a little bit, no worries. You got plenty of room to miss long And, I mean, a healthy amount to miss just barely short of the green as well. So not a whole lot of worries on sticking the number there if you do happen to miss that green on the green line. So, without further ado, driver in hand, I'm just going to try to smash it on down there as hard as I possibly can. Give myself a close shot up onto this green. So, let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 11th hole. Another little somber par 4 for us here. Playing for us, or playing for me, at 351 yards and tipping out at 381. So, yeah, pretty modest here. And a generally straightforward hole here. Kind of cants a little bit to the right from where the tee boxes are. But the further up you play, the more of a straight hole that it really is. Not a whole lot to worry about in terms of hazard. I mean, the trees are definitely thicker off to the left than they are the right. And if you go too far to the left, then you're going to end up in some nasty bushes too. It's probably going to be a gone ball. So I'm definitely saying that the right is the better side miss, that's for sure. And for a fair chunk of the hole, you actually have adjacent green. Adjacent green. Oh my goodness. Adjacent hole over there off to the right. That'll be the 17th. So if you do happen to absolutely slice one over there, fair chance you're going to find your ball anyway. And then a whole lot of just kind of like cart path up there, way down there to the right. So as you can see up in the top right screen there. So yeah, definitely right, better side miss to protect your ball. Once you do make your way up to the green, of course, you got that kind of 3 series of bunkers there off to the left leading you up to the green, and then one more short right. And that's really all you got to worry about here. Hole plays a little bit uphill pretty much the entire way. Not enough to write home about, really. So, yeah, not a whole lot to worry about. I'm just going to try to, again, smash down there. Give myself a nice short shot up onto this green. So, driver in hand, let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 12th hole in the first par 3 of our back 9 here. Playing for me at 157 yards and tipping out at a whopping 197, so pretty lengthy from the tips there. And there's actually two complete series of series? Is that the plural for series? Anyway, whatever the case, of tee boxes here. There's one kind of over to the left, which is the ones that they had marked up here today, so that's the ones that we are playing. And then there's a whole nother series over there off to the right that you can see up in the top right-hand corner of the screen there, the map there. So from both angles, you've got force carry of some water leading your way up to the green, but you got plenty of room to miss short so long as you just clear that water. So shouldn't be a huge concern unless you absolutely chunk your drive. But at a $157, even at a $197, if you happen to be playing the tips, I think for most players that shouldn't be a problem. So if you're playing the forward tees, and I rarely mention those, but that would be 129. So if you happen to be out there and you're playing all the way up, then yeah, shouldn't be too difficult of a shot for you to make that force carry. So anyway. Yeah, I've got, and as it's playing slightly downhill, and the pin's right up front for us today, I'm actually playing a pitching wedge at it to try to stab it somewhere generally close to that pin. So let's see if I can pull it off. Oh, and as you can see over there, yeah, you've got a couple of bunkers on the right and then another one on the left. The left is just in the front, and then you've got one right front and kind of back front. So that's the bunker trouble you're worried about. Definitely left side miss if you are scared of the sand. So anyway, like I said, pitching wedge in hand. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 13th hole. So another modest par 4 for us here, playing for me at 331 yards and tipping out at just 360, so pretty short indeed. That said, it plays uphill pretty much the entire way, so probably playing about 30 yards longer than that, maybe 40, but anyway, somewhere in there. But yeah, dog leg left this time, kind of switching it up for the draw side players out there. So happy days for me, as that's kind of the shot that I've been favoring these days somehow. So anyway, very nice. And off the tee box, it looks kind of intimidating as you're looking there with all the trees kind of immediately there on your left. However, once you get past those trees, it really widens up quite a bit for you. So if you are playing a draw with no doubt the driver that you're going to be taking on this hole, then I would just aim right down the fairway line there and then turn it over like you normally would, and you're going to be A-okay. Even if you overdraw it a little bit, I mean, you've got a couple of fairway side bunkers there to deal with, one at the elbow of the dogleg, and then another one about 30-40 yards down the fairway off to the left again. that you might end up in, but you're going to be safe and sound, so I really wouldn't worry about it. After that, you've got another bunker just short of the green and to the right. And then, as you make your way up to the green, you've got, again, another bunker up to the lateral right of the green and another one lateral left. So, kind of a fair amount of bunker trouble for this course anyway, on this hole. But if you're a big enough hitter there and you're hitting a draw, then you should really have no worries about any of that. If you happen to be a fade player and you're staring down this hole, those trees off to the left side, I mean, you should be able to get the ball up in the air fast enough to be able to clear those. Maybe 20, 30 years from now, when those trees get a little height on them, that may no longer be the case. But at least for now, in 2025 and 2026, you should be able to clear them just fine if you're playing that cut. Not a problem. So, anyway, me just aiming right down that fairway there. Going to try to turn it over and give myself a nice short shot up onto this green. So let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 14th hole. Another splendid little par 4 for us here. Playing just 307 yards from my tee box and tipping out at 365. So I get quite the reprieve here playing the one-up Lakeridge tees here. But yeah, I mean, that said, it's kind of a technical hole here. Plays uphill a fair amount of the way, so playing a little bit longer than that, probably 330 or so, I would say. And yeah, you definitely want a precise drive. Again, left is the good side miss, that's for sure. You've got, I mean, I can't really call it a dog leg, although it kind of feels that way with the trees on the left side that are kind of blocking you from going on the straight left line. But yeah, it's kind of a more just a straight up hole, but kind of a straight shot. But yeah, that said, I mean, I guess it kind of dogs a little more if you're playing from our tee boxes, since they are kind of tucked away back in this corridor here off to the left side, as you can see. I painted all of the tee boxes for you up on the whole map up there in the upper right hand corner there, kind of the right hand side. I know, I just started doing that. I don't really know what I want to call that yet, the little whole map there. But anyhow, so if you're playing from the forwards, it's definitely just a straight hole. And the forwards make it really short. Let's see here, what is that? It's only 250 yards from the forwards there, so yeah. Anyway, but that said, the whole slope's pretty hard off to the right, and oh boy, I mean, if you miss to the right, then you're going down this weird hill, down into some bushes and trees, and yeah, fair chance that's just a lost ball. So a draw here is really kind of mandatory, and if you don't have the draw in the bag, then laying up is just fine. The widest part of this fairway is about halfway down the fairway, so if you can kind of stick it there with a fairway wood or a long iron, something like that, then you'll be just fine, and you're only going to have like maybe $150 max to get up on this green. So, yeah, not a problem if you decide to do that. However, if you are playing the draw, then, well, you've got a couple of bunkers that show up pretty early off to the left side of the fairway. But if you're hitting driver, you really shouldn't have to worry about those if you are hitting, any kind of decent enough for yardage, I would say. If you're playing the tips, then I guess if you kind of screw one up, then you might end up in them. But even then, I mean, if you're that good of a player that you're playing from all the way back there, then you should not really have to worry about that anyway, hitting out of a fairway bunker. That said, if you really crush one down there a long way, then the fairway narrows up, and you start to run out of rough on the left side as well. But, kind of interestingly enough, you get more rough on the right side the further down you go. However, it's kind of this weird, like very steep slope off to the right, just shy of the green. So you'll have this kind of uphill sort of flop mandatory shot for your second shot if you do happen to crank one all the way down there. And you'll have to clear a bunker also to get on the green. So there's that. And that's the only bunker that's guarding the green there, just off kind of lateral to the right side of the green. So, again, as I'm playing draws right now pretty well, I've got no fear of this, and I'm just going to try to crank one down there and give myself a nice kind of flappity chip up onto this green. So let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, the time has come here. Oh, yeah, baby, the 15th hole at Lakeridge in Reno, Nevada. The Island Green Par 3. Absolutely gorgeous one, too, if I should say so myself. And kind of a lengthy one at that, playing for me at 220 yards and tipping out at 239. But that said, it's playing exceptionally downhill and a whole lot less yardage than that. And the further back you go, the more downhill it is and the more it kind of strips off yardage for you. So really, I mean, the tee boxes aren't playing a whole lot different from one another. Well, I mean, for the first three tees there, from the forward tees, as you can see, I've painted them all for you in the whole map there, just because it's kind of a confusing tee box series. So if you're playing it for the first time and you happen to check out my channel here before you go out there to play, then you'll know exactly where you want to go for each of those tee boxes. The tips are all the way down there at the bottom left of the map, and then the one-ups there, the Lakeridge tees, are just there to kind of the bottom middle of the map, and then the two-ups are just, up there in the natural sequence, and then you've got the forwards all the way up there. That little blue line up there that's kind of pointing at the green, that's not a tee box. That would be the drop area if you happen to put one in the water, which so very many people do on this hole, naturally. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, you've got water everywhere. It's an island green. You got to be precise. But you've got some bunker help there, and I call it help because, well, if you happen to hit in any of those spots, then if they weren't there, fair chance, then your ball would just roll into the water. So if you happen to end up in them, then, hey, happy days, no worries, right? And they're all fairly friendly bunkers, too. No big lips there. I mean, you could darn near putt out of the back, too. So, yeah, really wouldn't worry about getting in those. That front one's a little bit higher of a lip. You're probably not hitting putter out of that, but not going to be that difficult to get out of it either. So this is actually the first island green that I hit as a young man, just a wee lad. And back then, so when I was a little kid, I had a real bad slice. And Pops was doing everything in his power to try to help me overcome that. And one of which was getting me these no bananas, these Bob Burns no bananas. I had a driver and a 2-wood. So almost like a mini driver way back then, but mini drivers didn't really exist back then, but that was the closest thing you can get to it. But boy, I used to play those things nice when I was a kid. And the first time that I greened this green, that I nailed this green, I actually did it with that 2-wood. So that just goes to show, how much horsepower you could need to get up on this green, especially as a little kid, right? As I was. I mean, I wasn't that young. I think it was like 12. Yeah, okay, so I was kind of little. But anyway, it really kind of makes me appreciate how I've evolved over the years and how you grow as a golfer, because right now, for me, this hole's playing about 170 from this tee box here. Not 170, because I lasered it, and I think it was playing 185. That's right. And I'm hitting the 8-iron at it, so... Yeah, I went from the very first time that I actually greened this green, hit a bunch of balls in the water there before it, but in my life. But from having to green it with a 2-wood all the way to striking it with an 8-iron. So pretty cool, just the nostalgia of it and remembering that. So anyway, without further ado, and enough walking down memory lane for me, let's give it a rip and see if I can't stab this island green. Let's check it out. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 16th hole. How about that 15th, though, huh? Gosh, if I never get to play that hole again in the rest of my life, I'm so glad that I nailed that at least the island, missed the green, but at least stayed dry for possibly the last time that I ever get to play it. I know that's macabre, but hopefully not. Hopefully I get out there again one of these days visiting Pops back in Reno, but I don't know. We'll see. But at least I got one good green strike on it on camera. That's cool. That'll live with me for a long time. Anyhow, so the 16th hole here, healthy par 4 for us here, playing for me at 383 yards and tipping out at a whopping 454 yards. Absolutely brutal from the back tees there, that's for sure. But yeah, if you are playing from the back tees, however, then it actually straightens up the hole quite a bit for you as well. So that's kind of the benefit that you get from going all the way back there. From these tee boxes, it plays more as a dogleg left just because of the tree blockage there off to the left-hand side. So kind of demanding a draw. But if you're hitting a fade out there, then you should be able to hit one kind of right there alongside of the tree line, and then just kind of, gently fade one out there and give yourself about a, well, on that line, you're probably just kind of putting it out there in the middle of the fairway somewhere, and you're probably going to have about 160 to 170 up onto this green. But yeah, I mean, if you really shave those trees and fade it off of that, then you might get yourself closer to 130 to 140 up onto this green. So anyway, just depends. But definitely a draw shape is the shape you want. That's for sure. If you can swing it. That said, I wouldn't miss too hard to the left because those trees kind of protect the houses off to the left pretty much the entire way down. And if you get up in those, then that's going to be pretty difficult to get out of. So far as bunker trouble is concerned, you've got 4 bunkers all kind of grouped together at kind of the elbow, if you can call it that, to this slight dogleg left over there off to the right side. And then another one just inside of the elbow, a little bit further down off to the left side. And as you make your way up to the green, you've got one more bunker short and kind of right in front of the green. And then one kind of lateral left. So yeah, that's what you're looking at. Cool little pretty rock formation right behind the green will kind of ricochet your ball if you happen to hit one a little long. And just before that, the green kind of slopes off kind of drastically into this little depression just behind the green. So that'll make for kind of a difficult chip if you happen to get back there. And I am about to demonstrate exactly what that feels like right now. So anyway, yeah, as the draw's the shape that I want, and that's what I'm hitting. I've got the big old D-stick out. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 17th hole. What they call the 18th handicap on this course, and I'm just not sure that I agree with that. But nevertheless, that's what they got it marked as. I'd have to do some soul searching to think of what I would put as the 18th handicap. Probably number 14 I'd put as number 18 handicap. And switch these two out and call this the 16 handicap. But anyway, whatever. I'm not the guy rating the course. So, 329 yards for me, 358 from the tip. So, fairly short par 4 by all accounts here. But that said, we just got done having a couple of, several left side miss holes. And now we've got a dogleg right. So it kind of switches you up here and kind of forces you to play the other shape if you're taking the shape of the hole. That said, definitely no blockage over there off to the right-hand side. Should be able to get the ball up in the air plenty early enough to clear those bushes off to the right there if you want to hit a draw. And that's exactly the line I'm taking. Of course, you got those bunkers there that one bunker off to the right side of the elbow, two to the left of it. And those 3 bunkers just short left and right of the green, and that's all you got to worry about. However, if you do happen to miss one left, like you're going for that draw shaped over the bushes and you just hook one a little hard, no worries. You got plenty of adjacent hole. That'll be number 18 over there off to the left, and you're pretty well guaranteed to find your ball, I'd say. Might be a long way home from the lie that you'll have over there, but it'll be a safe ball. If you're going for the fade shape, on the other hand, and you overcook it that way, you might end up in somebody's living room off to the right-hand side there. So, if you are taking that shape, then I would play it gently and make sure that you don't absolutely, carve one over there off to the right. So, anyway, driver in hand. I'm taking it right over those bushes. Like I said, I'm just going to try to roast it down there and stick it real close to the screen. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 18th hole, the one lonesome par 5 on this back 9 out here at Lakeridge Golf Course in Reno, Nevada. So, and a pretty cool one at that it is. Really pretty way to come in, I should say. Just one fairway bunker to deal with early in the hole there off to the left. Shouldn't be a big deal for most players out there, I would say. And then you're bunker free pretty much all the way up there, the rest of the way to the green. about, I want to say 30 to 40 yards short of the green and off to the right of the fairway. Okay, yeah, fair enough. You've got another bunker, and then the green itself is guarded by kind of a large bunker off to the back right, and then two more kind of in the front left, and that's about it. So the way to play this hole here, I mean, obviously, crank a drive down there. It's wide open. I mean, you can miss a fair ways to the left and right. I mean, if you really, really screw up your drive, then obviously you've got the foliage in both directions to have to deal with, but shouldn't be that big of a problem. Especially having just played 18 holes, you should know what your driver feels like by this point. So play the shot you got in the bag today. There's nothing blocking you from playing whatever you got. If you do happen to crank a drive down there far enough, fat chance you're actually going to make the kind of squeezing of the fairway down there as you make your way on home to the green. And you're probably going to end up blocked out by the sort of rocky hill over there off to the left. But it'll be a blind shot for you as you look at that yellow line that I've got painted up there from the fairway to the green. If you just kind of go to the left of the tree, that you'll see kind of at the dogleg elbow and kind of cutting that corner over that rocky sort of mound, then pretty good chance if you've got the yardage, if you know what your yardage is, if you got it like a GPS or something, to try to get up on the green. Even if you miss a little bit short, you're just going to be in that green side bunker to get up on in regulation anyway. So anyway, if I was you, especially with only a 507 yard hole here, tipping out at 525, I mean, you're pretty likely to put yourself in a position to where you'll have the yardage to get home in too. So if I was you, I would go for it. I do, certainly, every time that I'm playing this hole. So anyway, driver in hand, I'm just kind of going up the right side of the fairway for my aim line and then pulling it over with a little baby draw from there. So yeah, let's give it a rip and see what we can do with that. But before we do, I just want to thank you guys again for supporting the channel. Thanks for all of you who are subscribed for getting us over 300. Can't wait to do the hat giveaway in the next video series here. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, here's to many, many more and a whole lot more great content coming your way. Dad and I have an incredible trip over the pond there in Europe planned this year for my big birthday. I'm turning a big number this year. So anyway, that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Can't wait for you guys to see all of that. And again, thank you again for supporting the channel. And yeah, hope to see you next time at Red Hawk for a really dynamite 2-ball scramble that Pops and I played out there. We really played some fantastic golf. So yeah, anyway, we'll see you then. And until next time, as always, I hope that you guys have an absolutely wonderful day. Take care. mind if I walk this up real quick? Pretty sure that's like a tap in. I'm gonna walk it up and freaking make a production out of it. Wait, don't touch it, don't touch it. Don't touch it, don't touch it. I know.
My wife would say tap.
Oh man, that's too good. How about that? A bird to finish the day.